My name is Noel Parinas. Levinas's critique of ontology is an important interrogation of the assumptions of Western philosophy. Emmanuel Levinas is one of the genealogical figures that are traceable in the history of philosophy. His mode of thought is the product of the inspiration given to him by the victims of the Holocaust during the Hitler regime. The systematic massacre of 6 million Jews opened windows and exhausts where Levinas showed himself as a critical and vocal philosopher about the flaws of Western philosophy as a whole that were not able to be noticed by the philosophers who came prior to him. Western philosophy, according to Levinas, is the philosophy of being, in which the fundamental starting point and end of every philosophical quest is no other than being. Being is the very condition of discourse and interrogations, which is to say, what allows philosophers to philosophize and incessantly philosophize. In short, philosophy is basically ontology. Levinas's philosophy of alterity introduced a total departure in the realm of Western thought. Levinas provided a critique of ontology, which is an important interrogation of the assumptions of Western philosophy. Levinas's philosophy completely overhauled the Western philosophical paradigm of the abstractness of philosophy itself. Philosophy is abstract, and to speak of the abstract is to talk about something which is impractical to human concrete life. What is concrete is the interlocutor, whose face remains naked and a revealer of call. The nudity of such face ordains and laments a certain invitation. The interlocutor is concrete because he is proximately present in our existence. This means that the other is just right before us, ahead of us, or even above us. There is a twist in the linearity of Western philosophy, as there is a creative reversal from metaphysics to ethics, from the abstract to the concrete, and from the egological philosophy to ecological worldview. In other words, Levinas's new philosophical reflective paradigm shift is one that embodies selflessness, humility, sacredness, and even holiness. The priority of the other on an asymmetrical elevated pedestal is now the concern of philosophy than the priority of the I, the sui, or the cogito. The decentering of the self as the critique of ontology trembled the whole Western philosophy. Prior to Levinas, philosophy was simply an activity of recognition of the I, the self, as the priority rather than posteriority. If there is what Martin Heidegger calls Seinsvergessenheit, or the oblivion of being, in the history of philosophy from Plato down to Nietzsche, there is also a forgetfulness of the fragile alterity from Plato down to Heidegger, as tacitly argued by Levinas, where the other is no longer remembered because of the overemphasis for the abstract or the impractical concern for being. In short, ethics as the practical modality of human existence is a critical reassessment of Western philosophy and the truthful examination of the impracticality of metaphysics through the effort of the creative, messianic, and prophetic enterprise of Levinas. Thinking is religious. Thinking is the fundamental vocation of the human person. It is an inevitable and extricable condition of life interwoven with existence. We are called to think. Thinking is an affirmation of the presence of what is thought of. Considering the reality of thinking as relational, thinking is always thinking of. Thinking is an involvement or an experience with the other distinct from the I who thinks. While it is true that thinking is always thinking of the other, thinking of the other is said to be thinking of the other religiously, where the I contemplates or meditates through emptying or losing itself in the encounter with the other. Thinking is so hospitable that it generously welcomes the alterity to dwell. Thinking is praying. Thinking is to speak and to listen to the other or to the other responsibly with sincere respect and with due consideration of the other as the interlocutor to whom the I is vulnerable. Thinking is so far an annunciation of the greatness of the other. As praying is a sacred dialogue, thinking is. Thinking is religious because thinking is relationally imbalanced, and religiosity is responsibly relational. To think is to submit, to comply, or to renounce the imposing will and pride to give way to the other. Thinking is the whole idea of thy will be done. To think is to remember or to recall the sacred alterity or altarity and to reaffirm his uniqueness as altarity. To think is to engage in solitude where the I is recuperative of the other. Thinking, in other words, is religious because it is a mystical experience with the epiphany and apparition of the other. The act of submission is conscientious act of here I am. Furthermore, thinking as a religious endeavor is thinking as an open region and a sphere of becoming where the exploration and transcendence of the limits and boundaries are possible. In thinking, creativity works. Liberation of numerous domains is possible. To think is not actually to interpret the other, but to speak with the interlocutor genuinely and to authentically listen to him attentively. As a way of life, thinking is a religious mode of becoming that is dynamic, open ended, or infinite, that abandons exclusivity without any reservation. Finally, thinking is religious because thinking is biblical. It means that thoughts are but margins traceable from the biblical narratives. What we think is the reflection of the ethical stories found in the Bible because the human drama is summarized in or by the compilation books, the Biblios. The attestation of the I remains a doxological testimony, and the I becomes a pious witness. Levinas argues for the ethical significance of sociality. Ethics for Levinas is responsibility. My boundless responsibility for the thou, and the I's unconditional responsibility for the other. Response and ability are what ethics is all about. Responsibility is the ability to respond to the other or to the other, not for the sake of my otherness to the other, but on behalf of the other's otherness. Because basically, the face of the other is calling or inviting for a response and recognition. Availability and disponibility of the self are the basic elements of responsibility that mark the integrity of the relations. In other words, responsibility is never a demanding responsibility. It is a fundamental recognition and obligation of the I to the alterity, inextricable in the I's very presence, without any expectation for reciprocity from the alterity. Sociality, on the other hand, speaks of the fundamental condition of the human person, from which there is involvement of the I upon the alterity. Sociality is the inevitable relatedness of the I to the other, anchored primarily on responsibility. Such holy kinship or affinity is irreversible, and the filiality is categorically visible in the human person's facticity. As the saying goes, no man is an island. Man is always a relational being whose existence is interwoven with others' existence. He is intersubjectively tied in relation to other subjects. He has always an interlocutor. He cannot choose to be alone because the statement "I can exist alone" implies the other's existence. The statement "I can exist alone" is a statement of contradiction. The mere supposition of the I in the statement already implies an other. There can be no I without the other. I arises from the other, who waits. It is therefore logically fallacious to claim that I can exist alone, since existence is and will always be a coexistence and an intersubjective affair. I is already a working relational pronoun that presupposes an other. Levinas argued that the ethical significance of sociality will be a way of escaping solipsism, which is being in the guise of knowledge. Knowledge is always an adequation between thought and what it thinks. There is, in knowledge, in the final account, an impossibility of escaping the self. Hence, sociality cannot have the same meaning as knowledge. Knowledge has always been interpreted as assimilation. The most audacious and remote knowledge does not put us in communion with the truly other. It does not take the place of sociality. It is still always solitude. Solitude thus appears here as an isolation, which marks the very event of being. Therefore, the only way to escape being is never knowledge, but sociality. Only sociality is never trapped in the idea of being where knowledge dwells. In short, ethics for Levinas is a way of life entwined with responsibility, with infinite responsibility. Ethics is an open space, boundless and infinite. It is a mode of one's being that enthrones the alterity on an elevation or height. Ethics is social. It dwells precisely always in the context of the sacred relations. My identity, which is rooted in alterity, is ultimately tied to responsibility. Identity is a product of sociality. The uniqueness of the I arises out of differences. There can be no I without the other. The I presupposes an I, an alterity. I is a working relational pronoun contained in the space of relations. The I can be understood within the context of relations or sociality and participating in the realms of togetherness that can never be taken apart from the condition of abundant I thou affair. Alterity, the face of the alterity, the face which is exposed and unconcealed, reminds the I of the I's infinite responsibility because the alterity, more than exhorting the I's recognition, is wrapped with responsibility. That is so basic to Levinas. Responsibility as alterity is not just the ability to respond, but the ability to be responded. Identity, which is rooted in alterity, is ultimately tied to responsibility because the I coexists with the other to whom the I is responsible. Without the alterity, responsibility is not possible. The whole idea of responsibility makes sense because of the alterity who is the rhizome of responsibility. In addition, my identity, which is rooted in alterity, is ultimately tied to responsibility. Responsibility for the total responsibility toward the alterity. Responsibility is what is incumbent on the exclusive and what humanly I cannot refuse. And therefore, the essential, primary, and fundamental structure of subjectivity. Responsibility is inescapable, which is to say, there is no way out of it. Its infinity marks the infinity of the alterity who demands for justice and solidarity. The alterity is a concept with deep biblical resonance. The alterity is anyone that falls outside my own category. The alterity is not a projection of my own interiority, but an exteriority that shatters my perception of totality. The alterity is irreducible and non-thematizable that marks the idea of infinity beyond being. All humanity looks at me in the eyes of the other. Humanity is the feeling of commiseration. It refers to the infinity and unfathomability of the other and the other. This speaks of humankind in the state of justice. Humanity is the unconditional responsibility of the I that extends from the other to the other, ultimately without any demand for reciprocity. Humanity, which is the third party, is the very call of Levinas's legacy for an effective, successful, and meaningful togetherness. However, humanity is abstract. No one can be responsible for humanity without being responsible for the concrete other. The other is the radical alterity that invokes and reminds me of my responsibility. The face, the defenselessness of the face is the epiphany of the infinity and responsibility. The apparition of the face commands me to respect the other as alterity on an elevation and not to take advantage of the weakness of the other. The face of the other is a command, not of exploitation, but of obligation, expressed in the most popular Levinasian injunction point from the Jewish Torah, thou shalt not kill. The thou shalt not kill pertains not only to the murdering of the person, but to the modest withdrawal from the execution of the alterity of the other. Undeniably, the other is a testimony to humanity. The humanity looks at me in the eyes of the other. Every face participates in the unconsumability of the humanity that precedes and antecedes me. To be responsible for humanity is expressed in the responsibility for the conflict other, and therefore, to be responsible for humanity means to be responsible to anybody, excluding nobody. It is never selective and exclusive. It is the here I am and not the what I know that structures my ethical religious relation with the other. Ethics, not epistemology or metaphysics, is the first philosophy. Availability of the I shapes the ethical religious and diachronous relation of the I with the other. The presence of the I commissions him of responsibility, which is a sacred way of life, tied to the I's very presence. Responsibility for the other is inescapable inasmuch as existence is given. Responsibility is ethical religious insofar as the other is an alterity that ordains the I to respond prayerfully, submissively, and doxologically to the exhortations of the alterity, of the face of the alterity, its very disclosedness and powerlessness without any concern for favor. It is responsibility, not knowledge, that is fundamental in ethical and religious asymmetrical relations. The level of knowledge is always conditional and demanding, always contained within the parameters of limitations. The I know is a constraint that is never infinite in the sense that it does not open a room for the unknown or the beyond. The I know does not structure the ethical religious relation with the other for the patent reason that ethics and religion lie beyond knowledge. Responsibility as an escape from the I know structures the ethical religious relation with the other because responsibility does not count nor measure itself. There is no adequation involved, but simply a fundamental modality of and toward justice. In short, responsibility is the springboard of humanity. It works in the realm of the here I am infinitely. Availability or the offering of oneself is a vocation beyond adequation. Brilliance is not necessarily good, but what is good is always brilliant. Philosophy, more than the love of wisdom, is the wisdom of love. Thank you.